am a new reader. So exactly how many books have I read in 2026 as a new reader? Now, you might be asking, what do you mean you're a new reader? Well, I am so glad that you didn't technically ask, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Chan. This year, I decided to sit down and really take reading serious. I've always wanted to read when I was younger, but for some reason I always kind of struggled, and I think it's really cool that people are able to sit down and read books, and I wanted to do that, and I know that it takes patience, it takes the comprehension to be able to even imagine what the book is like and the author's pose, and then if there's words that you don't understand, and it just really helps keep the brain active, and I think it's a good way to deter your brain from stuff like brain rot and doom scrolling. So I took reading seriously, and because of that, I've read, drumroll please, I've read 12 books this year. We're a little bit off the halfway mark. We're about 8 months into this year, but I'm actually really proud and really happy. I don't know if you can tell, but my top shelf is almost basically empty because I've read all the books that are on there. They're currently sitting right here. But just the fact that I've read almost all of those books at the top this year, just the fact that I comprehend books and I like big books, I like long books, is just so crazy, and I feel so smart. Now, you might be wondering, how have you been keeping track of this? Well, I'm so glad that you asked. I received this. This is a reading journal. Obviously, as you can tell, sorry, I know that you can read, but basically it's a really good way to track all the books that you've read, when you read them, what genre they are, a summary of the books, and basically your overall thought about how the book was. And I think it makes reading a lot more intentional. And I didn't think that I first was really gonna like this, but then I remembered that I love writing and I'm a diehard journaler. Also, I do want to apologize for the scenery change and how dark it is. I'm filming relatively late, but I thought we could make this a little cozy aspect with the lights, and you can see a little bit of my bookshelf as well. But yeah, back to your regularly scheduled news. Okay, first up on the list, the books that actually got me into reading, which is kind of funny because I know it's been trending, was Twilight. And I know a lot of people have been reading Twilight series for the first time, and I am also part of that, but not because of the trend. My coworker and I, we love the movie series, and she was rereading the Twilight series, and I was like, man, I really want to read Midnight Sun. So if you don't know what Midnight Sun is, it's essentially the first book or the first movie, but written in Edward's POV. So it's his prose, his thoughts, everything in his perspective, and that sounds so intriguing. But I figured if I'm gonna read Midnight Sun, I feel like I should at least read the Twilight series. So last year I started reading the first book, and then it wasn't until this year that I finished New Moon, which there's no way that you guys don't know the Twilight series. But New Moon gets really juicy because this is where the other male protagonist shows up in this book, and it really throws things kind of crazy. All the books blend together, but after that I ended up reading clips, keeping up with the series, and I think this is really like an unpopular opinion, but this is probably one of my favorite books from the entire series. The amount of drama I got was so entertaining because this is the first book where Bella really gets to be selfish, and slay for her. Following that, I read Breaking Dawn. I did not like the movie. It was just a lot. In this book, you go through Bella's pregnancy as a human, even though she got pregnant with a vampire. Seeing Jacob's POV through half of this book is what kept me going. I think Jacob is a very funny character, and I wish that Stephanie Meyers had wrote more of his POV. It really made the book go through a lot easier, because I can't imagine having to sit and read Bella's turmoil and how much pain she's in because of the baby. Besides that, I read what I've been hoping for this entire time, Midnight Sun. Now, if you look at the side, this book is way bigger than Breaking Dawn. It's literally double the size of Breaking Dawn. So you can definitely say that Midnight Sun is the biggest, longest book I've ever read, and I genuinely enjoyed it so much. Seeing Edward's POV was such a breath of fresh air because he's so nonchalant in the movies, but in that book, he is crashing out over her, and I enjoyed every second of it. His writing style is a lot more elegant, which I thought was so cool because Stephanie Meyers really did a good job. And I know that she struggled writing Midnight Sun, but I'm so glad that she published this book. And it was actually the first book that I annotated. That's not the annotated copy. I just had a love for annotating after this book. I'm putting the pieces together in my head. I'm writing it in the margins. I found a really good system that works to annotate. So I had so much fun with Midnight Sun. The Twilight series will always hold a special place in my heart. After Midnight Sun, I don't own the book because I read the audiobook, but I decided to delve more into the Twilight series, and I read the short Second Life of Bree Tanner. I decided that I still wanted to read what Stephanie Meyers had. Seeing the other perspective of what other vampires go through besides the Cullens way is so entertaining, and I really hope that she does continue to make these kind of side stories, because seeing this person, Bree, what she went through, and then when she connects with the Cullens in the Eclipse book, oh my goodness. I think the audiobook really did change what the book was like for me, because I have never really listened to an audiobook, but I figured I'd give it a shot because my library had it on Libby. It was so good. It was a little short story, so if you like Twilight and you haven't read it, I really do think that novella is worth it. After that, I officially finished the Twilight series, and so this comes up with actually one of my new favorite series, Legendborn. This series is so good, and I didn't expect to like it because it's YA. Now, I'm obviously first rediscovering what is it that I really like to read, but there was something about Legendborn that just sucked me in. If you don't know what Legendborn is, it's essentially a contemporary fiction, so it's based on real life, but it's mixed in with the story of King Arthur, Excalibur, King Arthur. But you specifically go through this girl named Bree, who's 16, and her mother died. So she's going through the grief, and she finds out that maybe her mother didn't die by accident. She died due to a magical incident. And so when she goes to this early college program, she sees magic there. And in order to find out what happened to her mom, she chases it. This protagonist, she's stubborn, she's hard-headed, she's determined, she sees through it no matter the cost. I was very overwhelmed at first because I've never had a binge-worthy book where I could not put the book down. It was truly something else. But after that, I got a little winded. The book absorbed me a little too much that I knew that I needed a palate cleanser. So the next book that I got before I went into the next book in the series was Remarkably Bright Creatures. I had already talked about it on my channel, but I'll go over it again. It's Shelby and Belt's debut novel, and it was exactly what I needed in the moment. I needed something that tied me back to reality. I needed something that was slow. That's exactly what that book was. It was there when I needed it in the moment, and it also pushed me to open a Roth IRA and think about my retirement. So you follow this old lady named Tova. At the same time, it's a dual POV between Tova, who works at the aquarium, lost her son, and this dude named Cameron, who is looking for his lost dad. So these characters end up meeting in the middle somehow, and you see their relationship grow, and they both end up working at the aquarium. There's an octopus named Marcellus who's kind of trying to branch them together over something that keeps them in common, but that they don't know about. So it was a really nice, simple story. I did really enjoy it. And after that, obviously, I was ready to start the next book in the Legendborn cycle. I started Bloodmarked. I have to say, low-key, this is my favorite book in the series. I am a mega Selwyn fan, okay? This book had me on the edge of my seat. Even if the book wasn't exactly for me word choice, I still really enjoyed it. And as you can tell, I re-picked up annotating because I love annotating. I don't know why I didn't annotate Legendborn, but this book, I could not contain myself. I annotate for different reasons, but decided to annotate all the parts that I really like. As you can tell, it's like halfway in the book. This book, oh my god. It had me hooked such a long time. Does she like him? Does he like her? Are they gonna make it out? What's gonna happen? This one's almost like a love triangle. It's a crazy love triangle, and so much is happening, and they're so young, like they're kids. It's like, who knows what's gonna happen? After that, I had to take another break because I'm not ready for Oathbound. So after that, I decided to read this book called So This Is Ever After. As you can kind of tell from the cover, not really. This is a book catered more towards kids, so not kids, but teenagers. So this is young adult, and I know that I said that I didn't like young adult, and I don't, but I have this thing where I need to read all the books on my shelf. I will not buy another book until I read all those books, okay? I am not going to be wasting my money buying books I'm not going to read. I set that as a very firm boundary because I know that it'll get a little hectic, and I do like to collect, so I had to keep myself in check. And so this is a book I had gotten a long time ago. I think I was a teenager, which is why I had picked this book up, but I had also annotated it just a tiny little bit. So you follow this 17-year-old who basically saves the world from this evil, but now has to rule the throne himself, but he will literally perish from the throne if he doesn't find somebody to bond his soul with. And so he really likes another one of the party members, his best friend Matt, but for some reason cannot tell him that he likes him because he felt like he was rejected twice. So he starts to try and essentially romance everybody else in the friend group. He will die, Matt will confess, or he binds his soul to somebody else. This book, I picked it up, I think, at the time because it was queer representation, and it was a very okay book. The font is really big, and it's very YA. I think if I had read it when I was a kid, I would have really enjoyed it. The back made it seem like they needed to be soulmates. Soulmates, I'm thinking fate, but they just had to bind souls. Spoilers ahead, just so you know. I thought it was a little bit weird how Eric liked Matt this entire time, yet he showed interest towards other people in the friend group, which made me really question what is going on. And the ending of the story was very rushed. It's like a 300-page book, so they kind of just tied the knot, moved on with it. I really like depth a lot more in my books. Like, I wish that I had seen them go through the magical quest and not just when he was trying to find a soulmate. I wish I could see Eric's and Matt's bond really grow to understand why they like each other, if that makes sense. And I wish I could have seen the ending a little bit more. But for what the book was, it was what it was. I can't say much. Okay, I apologize. I had to turn on a light because it is quite literally pitch black outside. The next book that I had read, counting graphic novels, was volume 20 of Chainsaw Man. I had actually read this one for my sister because she is obsessed with Chainsaw Man. So I wanted to see what volume 20 was, and it was pretty good. It's just mangas are really, really short. I read them pretty fast, but it was pretty okay. The next book I had read, also from my sister, is If Cats Disappeared from the World. Now, this book is a translation from a very famous Japanese book. You essentially follow this dude. He's dying, and he can live one more day if he gets rid of something in the world. And at one point, he has to choose his life or his cat's life. I was so hyped for this book. The concept was really interesting, but this book, it was not at all what I thought it was. I feel that this book got lost almost in translation. It couldn't be as beautiful maybe in the native language because there were a lot of things where the male protagonist was very bland, very whatever. It had basic life lessons that I knew even at my age before this dude started dying. I literally say, this pathetic of a loser just let his life slip away. He got caught up in the small things of life, but he didn't fight for anything. He let both his girlfriend and his dad and his friends slip away for nothing. And on top of that, spoilers ahead, the entire relationship with the ex-girlfriend was so weird. I don't know what I expected, but he was like, hey, I'm dying. And she did not care. I really think that the joy just got revoked out of the translation. I thought it would be a lot more meaningful to me, but it was just not my cup of tea. Now, the last book that I read this year, I borrowed it from a friend, and I had also listened to the audiobook, is Where the Crawdads Sing. It was super popular back. They even made a movie on it in Netflix, and I remember really liking the movie, and I did not like this book. You follow this girl named Kaya whose mother left her, and so she's stuck with an abusive father, and this is supposed to be a murder mystery. So you're flipping back and forth between going through her very slow life and then the murder that had happened in the marsh. Eventually, her father does abandon her, and she is all alone. She learns how to fend for herself. She meets this dude named Tate, and they get along really well. It's her first relationship, but there are a lot of things in this book that didn't exactly make sense to me. For instance, Kaya was 14 and Tate was 18. You really couldn't make her 16. Like, you needed it to be 14, and even the character of the book acknowledges that she's too young. The author's choice is the author's choice in this time and day. That's how I'm going to take it as. Besides that, this dude gets murdered and she did it. Or that's what the book wants you to believe, that she did it. And when you hit the trial where her life eventually meet ups with the murder mystery, it was so bland. She was basically a shell of her character. All throughout this time, it's written in third person, yet she's the only character that we know, her thoughts, everything. And all of a sudden, when this case happens, she's completely taken out of the narrative. And I know the whole point was for the mystery murder element, but it really just took away from the fact of we were just with her this entire time throughout the book. And then when she gets tried for murder, we're not present with her. Ending just fell short. So yeah, those are all the books that I've read. That was 12 books, and obviously I plan to read more. I really wish I could have read 24 books this year, but I'm hoping maybe I can read at least 8 more books this year so I can at least hit 20. You know, we'll see. Life happens. I was in the middle of reading Oathbound, but I felt pretty demotivated, so I decided to take a step back and work on other hobbies that I am currently motivated to do that you may potentially see in the future. You know, maybe next couple of days, maybe next week. Not sure, but it'll be really exciting when I do start that. I did just purchase a new book. It's The Will of the Many, all the way to the right on top of my shelf. I'm really excited for this book because it's like a combination of Indiana Jones, and the back sold me. What do you mean if the hierarchy finds out who I truly am, they'll kill me? So I'm really excited to read that. I hope you guys will continue to follow along with my reading journey, all my hobby journeys. This YouTube channel is just everything put together, but I'm really happy and excited about that, and I hope that you guys are willing to follow the channel. Thank you so much for staying, supporting this little small channel, and I hope to see you next time. Boop!